I just want to mention one quick thing, that the National Lawyers Guild is hoping to be able to provide legal observers each day, probably starting Monday.
Can I just, before we break, suggest that we have a grace, because there looks like a beautiful meal over there. Before we break, just a few more things.
John? We point out these armbands again. We also think this is pretty important, that there should be a couple of armbands on people who will be spokespeople for the police at all times. Also, anybody who needs housing over the weekend, there's a sign-up sheet on the door. Well, let us also say that the sheriff never said, he claims, what he was reported to have said in this morning's paper. That he's extremely upset that he's been so misquoted. He never said that we were scuffling with the police and that we jumped on their backs. He said that never happened, and he was not a witness to it at all. He also said that if he could find the anonymous deputy who was reported on the front page of the paper Tuesday morning saying that we were all stoned and stunk, that he would have that man do a public apology. And finally, he was so upset about hearing about Sergeant Gottlieb, whose performance we were able to see yesterday. He was the guy that took off his jacket and was going to duke it out with Charlie Black and had to be physically restrained by 3 of the police people, that that man's going to be reassigned to some far corner in the courthouse. And he was never supposed to be out there at all because of his tendency. So there's that sort of dialogue with the cops.
I'll also talk to all the press people who reported that story, those reports.
The update from the courtroom is that both legal observers were with us at this meeting, so nobody was able to come over from the defendants because they're meeting. Dean just said very briefly it's more of the same. They're now up to 48 people. 2 people this morning who were not excused for cause. Was one person who worked for Allied Chemical that has a sizable defense contract, and another person whose husband was in Guantanamo Bay during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the judge would not excuse her for cause either.
I guess I'd just like to add that...
Introduce yourself, Sharon.
My name is Sharon Browning Lafferty, and I'm one of the people who's been in the courtroom most of the time. And I guess if anyone has any questions just about the legal process and what's happening, what's likely to happen next, any of those kinds of questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do you have any sense of when the trial would start?
I would say Monday.
When do you think it will?
Well, Monday afternoon. At this point, they have 12 more jurors to interview before they even start eliminating them. Yesterday, they only got through 12. Today, and they have 12 more. It's highly unlikely the jury selection would be completed before Monday. But I think the trial could start Monday afternoon.
You mean the selection of the 16 people?
Yeah, see the process for jury selection, there's a pool which is a combination of 2 pools of 60 people. And what they do is they bring 4 in at a time, and they ask questions of the 4. And they take notes and all of that. And then once they have interviewed all 60 people, then they have what they call challenges for cause. And what those are, they say, well, this specific juror exhibited a certain bias or a certain inclination which should just rule that person out completely. So they argue those challenges after they've interviewed all the 60 people. They're also doing a little bit of that now as they go along, but that's primarily after they go through the 60. Once they've done that and eliminated a number of people, then each side has what they call peremptory challenges. And what that means is that you can simply say, well, I don't like that person as a juror for whatever reason. You don't have to give a reason, and that person is automatically removed from the pool. Each side, in this case, has 16 challenges. So that's a total of 32. So if you start doing the mathematics on this, it's pretty clear that 60 jurors may not be enough, because if there are 32 peremptory challenges, plus some of the challenges for cause are granted, then there may be a need to interview more than 60 people, in which case it could go on into God knows when. Yeah, well, it depends. See, the judge may just squash it. The judge may say, no more challenges for cause, that's it, end of it, and it might not be argued at all, in which case it would go very quickly once they'd interviewed the 60.
Can we say that from the beginning?
No, No, he hasn't said that. He hasn't said that, but he's been pretty hard-nosed about the challenges that they've already argued. For example, the gentleman who works for, it's a subsidiary of Allied Chemical, and what they do, it's called C&D Battery, and they make batteries for submarines. And, that was a challenge. They said, we think this person should be excused. And the judge said, no, denied. So he's being real hard-nosed about it. That might go very quickly. And then what happens, so I'll just give you a sort of a quick rundown of what the trial will be. Once the jury is selected and sworn in, then there will be opening statements from both sides, the prosecution and the defense. And then the prosecution presents its case, which from all appearances will be a rather swift thing. They don't have that much, actually, when it comes right down to it. At that point, once the prosecution closes its case, a few more of the defendants can make further opening statements at that point. Then the defense puts on its case. The big question here is whether or not they will be permitted to present any witnesses. And there are 6 folks who have agreed to be expert witnesses, but the character of their testimony is such that the judge has sort of indicated that they will not be heard. So if they are not heard, then the whole thing will just wind down. There will be closing arguments, and the jury will deliberate. That could be very quick, a very swift sort of process. On the other hand, if the judge allows the testimony, it could go on for weeks.
I would say
No, I don't remember. I believe one is Richard Falk from Princeton.
Philip Morrison, who has a patent for the first nuclear bomb and worked on the Manhattan Project as a physicist at MIT. Richard Falk, who we already heard, Princeton International lawyer. Colin Caldecott, president of Physicians for Social Responsibility. Robert Aldrich, who's been here with us most of the week. Who else? No, I don't think he's coming. Well, he might. Admiral LaRocque.
Dan Ellsberg.
Yeah, Dan Ellsberg will be coming back. Anybody else? I think that's it. And then there's several character witnesses.
And also, just briefly, the reason that there is all this question as to whether or not it will go quickly or not is that, as you all know, the defendants aren't contesting that they did it. They say, sure, we did it. But what they want is to present testimony which shows that they were justified in doing it, that it was necessary to do it, and it's a very narrow sort of legal argument, and the judge is saying that this does not fall within that particular justification defense. So all of the testimony that they want to present goes to a justification defense as opposed to a factual dispute. They are not disputing the facts. So that's where the confusion arises in all of this. Oh yes, he did. A couple days ago, he said, just for the record, I have here, and he had this incredible stack of correspondence which had been addressed both to him and to Judge Cirillo of recent fame. And he said, and these are all favorable letters, and at some point we will go through these and discuss what effect they will have. I suppose they go as to character and possibly mitigation of sentence and all of that.
The judge admitted this?
Pardon?
The judge admitted this?
That he well, he has them in his hand. He has a stack full of supportive
And they're
letters.
favorable.
Yes. Yes.
Favorable for us.
Yes. Yes.
May I make a suggestion? For people who have a good deal of time and energy to put to this cause, I would suggest that you begin responding to the coverage in the local newspapers. As a person associated with the newspaper, I know how important that is. Just to write letters to the editor from the New York Times down, and if you don't mind stating the place from which you come, the geographic diversity will be something else that will work to the advantage. And it's a lot better than supporting one another while you're banned from the courtroom, and you know, it would be very productive if you were to do that. Besides adding your own character references, if you wish to do that.
Thank you.
Could I ask if there's any more legal questions at all? It seems not, at least. Let me reemphasize 2 things that we're going to try to be helpful and also very constant. One, a 9 o'clock meeting here before vigiling which is a helpful way to put us in the right reflective spirit for vigiling. And also, we hope that will be a constant is this kind of meeting after every day as well for legal updates. And if you could mention that to other folks that aren't here, some folks are at the ecumenical prayer service, for example. If you could get that kind of word out, it would help us a lot better.
Maybe it makes sense not to do the ecumenical prayer service.
Well, that's up to people's choice, I think. You know, it's but those two things are available.
Okay, could everybody line up this side down here?
We're going to grace first. Billy, would you like to grace?
Let's have some silence together and then we'll sing a song. It's a gift to be free, it's a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, it will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to now and to then we will not be ashamed. Our delight till by turning we come and bright. How about lying?
Dutch Irish part of it, right?
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, you wrote me, that's right. You wrote me from Sound Hill when I was up in Newburgh.
You write to me every Christmas, Jim.
I know.
Don't you remember how you
I'm getting, maybe I've got more. Yeah, my dad passed away in April, so I came back to the Philadelphia area. Otherwise, I would still be in sunny Alabama. Yeah, I know. I get all the nice letters from Yeah.
And my darling, but I would never have recognized you. Of course I go to City Hall. You know what I proclaimed against yesterday? I got armaments before it started. See, I don't interrupt the meeting. I mean, I was waiting for everybody, you know, for him to gavel the board. They were there.
You're staying?
And I said, we're going to stop this horrible armament every minute of every day.